have another book that I read that I hated and liked. Not hated and loved, or loved and hated. But it's called Burning Desires by Relentless Aaron. And I'm just saying right now, the ending of this book pissed me off. Because it really started to make no sense to me. But it starts off with Dante's story, which is interesting and funny at the same time, because he has this past, or he doesn't even have that big of a past. In this background, he's a handyman, and we all know those stories about handyman. But this like Dante is like this guy who kind of sleeps or flirts with all the women in these apartment complexes. He's basically the player of this apartment complex, and he meets Stacy, who from jump is like the biggest playhead of all. I think she is the biggest manipulator of all. When you see her, like, she acts like this child, but she's really not. I think she was like the biggest playhead. She played him so hard. But as their courtship grows, like, Stacy starts having like these weird moments that kind of freak me out for like, I don't know, 2 to 5 seconds, because like I read it and then I read it again and I'm like, why would she do something like that? What was the purpose? And she does it, and it's just really weird. Dante starts like loving the side that's like she's putting on. She like pays it no mind. Dante likes the loving, like loving. He like really loves her. And the book like takes 2 like storylines, but they're almost the same relationship. Like, what they do is like you hear about one character and then you hear about the other, and then like they come together, and then like you see like how they like mold together. It was kind of irritating because it like happened with every character, and I don't think like the storyline matched what it was. Like, you know what it was, but like you heard like something that had absolutely nothing to do with it. I think like the past, like, you can understand the reality of them, but after a while it just kind of got on my nerves. What threw me off is how he fell in love with her. I don't understand, because she was crazy. Most men have, okay, I'm just going to say it right there. The sex in this book was really good, but that's beyond the point. How he fell in love with her was really weird. When you read the book, you'll understand what I'm talking about, because like, no like sex is really that great where you fall in love the first time. The first time, that threw me off. He just said "I love you" out of nowhere. Like, he didn't think about it. He just said it. Stacy's story starts to make sense a little bit at a time. You understand Dante, but you really don't understand her. Like, you don't understand why she's here, what she's doing, why she's falling in love with him, why she's using him or whatever she does, and I just didn't understand that at all. That just pissed me off. I was like, okay, I'm done with this book. This book took me a long time to read because it couldn't keep me like thrilled. Like, all in all, it's about a guy who falls in love with the worst woman in the world. I felt sorry for him. I really did. I did. The ending of this book, he leaves her, but his profession that he goes for is really funny. You have to read this book to understand that. But in this read, I noticed there were problems, you know. Their problems came first, and the love was like second, because Dante asked himself several times, why am I with her? Like, and it was funny. I was like, you should have thought about that when you laid her down. You know, it's just, he's like asking himself, like, when you read the book, like, every time he's asking himself, why am I with her? He may not say it, like, write it down. The author didn't write that, like, bit down, but you could, like, feel, like, every time she said something or made him do something, he was wondering why. The only reason I really kept reading this book, to be honest, was that the sex just kept getting better and better. Their whole relationship begged the question of, was it love or was it lust? Because I really, like, I see, like, he's doing all these things for her and she's loving him, but at the sex is really the reason why I really stayed in this book, because it just kept getting better and better. And it showed that sex complicates things. It really does. And I was sitting there thinking in my head, does he love her or does he lust her? That was one of the reasons. The way I see it, this book is about a man who falls for a woman in her circumstance, and he falls in love with all that, and he doesn't seem to realize that she is using him. The downside was the life stories. I did not like that every character had a life story. I also didn't like that every character had a life story and it didn't match with the story that was being told throughout the book. And it didn't keep me intrigued. Really read the book and really see what I'm talking about and you'll understand. That was Burning Desires by Relentless Aaron. I gave it 2 stars because it did have its points where it kept me intrigued, but other than that, I really didn't care for the book. I was kind of glad when I had to turn it back in. So if you think that I'm wrong, you read the book and tell me what you thought of the book. Alright, bye.